Welcome to Zoom at 8. My name is Anne Peterson. I am your host for tonight's Zoom at 8. I am Senior Director at Old Capital Lending. And you know what? We have been doing this for 36 years, this whole lending thing. And we are real specialists, especially who you need right now in your court, because my, oh my, things are changing very, very quickly. So, here at Zoom at 8, we've closed 12 deals and looking for more. But what is so spectacular about Zoom at 8, while we've been here at Zoom at 8 for 3 years, you can find your partners here, you can find sponsors, you can find insurance brokers, cost segregation, you can find partners of all kinds. I kind of developed this after looking at a couple education programs that had this ecosystem, if you will, and wanted to provide that for other groups that may not be having that type of structure. So I want to welcome you all to tonight's meeting, and we're going to be networking and we're going to be learning. So tonight I'm very excited to have my friend and colleague Mandy McAllister with you, and we're gonna have a great beer too. It is time that we get on with the show. We've got Mandy McAllister here, and I am super excited. Mandy and I have known, I don't know, 3-4 years, and she's from Chicago, and I'm from Chicago. So we are made from the same mold. And Mandy McAllister is a multifamily real estate investor, a mindset ninja, an eternal learner, and a coach. She has her master's degree in economics, began her professional career at the Chicago Board of Trade before transitioning to medical sales, medical device sales. After many years of chasing the commission, you know how it is, she made it her mission to secure financial freedom for her family and others, and is coaching individuals to realize their personal potential. Her real estate expertise, including repositioning underperforming assets to increase cash flow and value. She is primarily a B- class workforce housing in her portfolio, and she is also has a passion to help others define their path to financial freedom through her platform, Aspiring Women Achieving More. You can find her on the internet as well. Oh, that didn't sound so well again. But she is most proud to be the mama of her hilarious 6-year-old son, Duncan, who consequently wants to be a real estate professional investor when he grows up. So that's a little bit about Mandy, but we are excited you're here, Mandy. Let's make sure that we give her all of our attention. Go up to the right-hand side of your screen and make her the person to give you all of your attention. So Mandy, good evening. How are you?
Oh, hi. I'm just living my best life, Julie. Thanks for having me, homegirl.
When I met you, I knew we were going to be an instant friendship. And
Yeah.
you know what? That is what a lot of us are looking for. Friendships, partnerships, but we also want to put up some barriers on or some understanding of what the principles of investing really look like, right? I mean,
For
and
sure.
that's what I want to talk about. So I'm welcoming you to my living room tonight. Let's make this
Fireside
kind
chat.
of a fireside chat, right? And I'm really looking forward to this conversation. And also, if everybody here, if you've got a question, I'm happy to stop and have you ask the question. This is interactive, of course, and Mandy always is always open to giving her side of the thing. So anyway, I gotta know. I want everybody to know about Mandy. Mandy, I understand your background. I understand that you came from where kind of we all were. How did you decide you wanted to do this full time? You've got this, I guess, a 4-year-old at the time or 3-year-old at the time. You're a single mom. You're saying, I'm going to do this on my own. That takes a lot of courage. And I'm just curious. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you make that decision?
So when I first had my kiddo, I was working 12 and 14-hour days. Like the reason that I didn't go to medical school is because I didn't want to end up having to be on call. And the great like hilarity of the universe was I switched to the business school, end up in medical sales, and then I'm freaking on call for medical sales. Like how ridiculous is that? I made a whole life change and I end up exactly where I was trying to avoid. And I didn't get to enjoy my son for his first year and a half, 2 years. And I realized, no, it's up to me to make the change. I want to be the mom. I want to set my life up so that I get to be the mom that goes on the field trip. That I get to be like, I get to make the choice of how I live my days rather than my days living me. And it's something you've heard a bunch of different times from a bunch of different people, but it's just a couple of different decisions and then living by those principles. And that is, kind of the life change I decided to make like 4 or 5 years ago, and ended up setting myself up to do just that.
So, I mean, for those people that have gotten into this and they're thinking about or hearing about, again, on the internet, I want to, leave my job in 2 years. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot to learn in 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things that have changed over the last 2 years to change this environment that we've all been fixing, flipping, right? Yeah. And trying to figure out, what's my break to financial freedom? I want to kind of hear from you. You are looking at, how do you manage your business? Am I going to go into doing this on my own? I think you did some single family at one time, maybe doing some of that still. Doing JV deals, kind of talking about that, and then also talking about syndication. What have you learned? What choices have you made?
Yeah, I'll say I've always kind of been a bit of a contrarian when it comes to like we've been in these golden years of multifamily acquisition. We've had these compressing cap rates. We've had these, rock bottom interest rates that fix and flip was possible. And to me, kind of coming up in multifamily, I kind of started in the 4 to 10 unit buy of my own, just on my own accounts, and then wanted to go bigger. So I talked to some friends, like, what do you need to see, guy who has a really big job, who wants to leave his W-2? What do you need to see in order to leave your day job? And what this guy said to me, super successful syndicator, is, oh, all I need is this acquisition fee and that disposition fee. And then all I got to do is 4 deals a year. And then I can leave my day job. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to have to find 4 doable deals in a year to feed your kids? Like, what are you going to do? Like, the bottom will drop out at some point. Like, what are you going to do? Like, that made my freaking palm sweat. Like 5 years ago when we were in the middle of the, biggest run of all time. So my kind of contrarian thought was, rather than count on these fees that, largely that is a large chunk of what syndicators depend on. I chose to like build a floor of cash flow coming in that would provide for me to live on. And then I can go to syndications, and then I can go swing for the fences, right? Like I need to first build the financial independence floor through cash flow, through my own, or, through small groups accounts. And then I can go make that happen. And then, for me, I just needed to figure that math out, because guys, that's a math problem. How much money does it cost you to live your life? That is a freaking math problem. And there are free things out there to help you figure it out. So I kind of backed into that with a calculator that I'll put in the chat. I'm happy to share. It kind of helped me put my brain around, what do I need to see to fully have that floor of passive income in order to leave my day job, to entertain the idea of being a general partner, to entertain the idea of being a sponsor.
So let's talk a little bit about what you have found. Okay, so we talk about syndication, we talk about JV deals. You're leaning towards more JV deals, right? So let's talk about that, because that's not the popular stance in this community.
I'm not a popular girl.
That, it's a challenge, right? I mean, you need more money, and you need it from fewer people. So I want to know the challenges that you're facing with JV deals now that things are kind of changing.
Mhm.
That may be a better route for some of this, for some people. But I also want you to talk about not only the challenges of finding, a fewer people with a lot more money. I want you to
Mhm.
talk about partnerships,
Yeah.
because the partnerships do not start and end in 3 days, guys.
Mhm.
These are long-term relationships. You've heard me speak of them. I have been in some relationships where I've gotten duped. And I got to tell you, I would have never thought that I would be in a situation thinking they wouldn't do that to me. No way.
Mhm.
So let's talk about JV deals. Why do you like them? And the challenges that you're facing, especially in this current environment.
Yeah, because I screwed this up pretty good, guys. So I got a real nice rule of thumb that I'll bring you into the fold on. But if I look at the billionaires in multifamily, the billionaire owners of multifamily, the best of the best, right? Those are guys who buy and do not sell, right? So what I realized is I want to be closer to one of those than not. So what I chose to do is like, how can I position myself to take this really incredible long-term debt that is non-recourse, that I'm going to get a freak ton of interest only, the best possible rates. Like, how can I go secure as much of that agency debt through a person like Julie as humanly possible, right? So in order to do that, I didn't have $1 million to put down on a deal by myself, but I found a really rich dude who didn't really understand multifamily who wanted to do exactly that. So my first deal was, me and two other guys. One, he was the primary equity in the deal, and he's very involved, because if you take somebody's money and you promise a return and they're not involved, that is a syndication, right? We didn't want to be a syndication. We wanted to be a partnership. And if you look at kind of the normal playbook for a syndication, the 2, 3, 4, 5 year hold times, then we got to look to sell so that we can have this big pop in IRR that we promised our investors. I don't want to be the seller. I want to buy the asset and I want to watch what's happened in the environment, right? Like I want to be a buy and watcher. Like you hear buy and holder. I want to be a buy and watcher. I'll hold if it's what I should do. I'll sell if it's what I need to do. And I'm not beholden to a bunch of different investors. I just have to have a conversation with 3 dudes in order to decide what we're going to do, right? So that is kind of the crux of why I love joint venture. I find a lot more flexibility, and we were able to lock in 15-year debt at 3.2% with 8 years of IO, and mama gonna ride that out until like 2040. You know what I'm saying? Like, how jealous are you going to be of 3.21% in 2040? So we don't know, but I do know that locking in for that floor of earnings has made for really incredible cash flow, and setting myself up to live a comfortable life where I can be the mom who goes on the field trips with my kiddo. But I have learned the hard way that not everybody's the best partner. So I ended up meeting a guy at like my church, and our kids played together, and like everything on the surface said, this is a human you should trust. Right? He had a 300 or 400 unit single family portfolio in the Chicagoland area, and wanted to get involved in multifamily. And I speak multifamily, but he has, only single family. It helped me raise the capital to take down this ridiculously huge portfolio in the Chicagoland area. I'm like, okay, before I go raise all that capital for you, I need to do something with like some deal with you so that I know like that I can say to anybody I'm talking to in good faith that I've worked with him before. I know he's a man of, goodness. Let's go at this together. So anyway, yada, yada. I was the $110,000 cash that was going to go buy 2 single family homes that he was going to stabilize over 2 months, put a new loan on, and then pay me back. And that was going to be our deal. And then we were going to move into multifamily. Well, guys, we are now 4 years later, and I have not received a red cent from this man. He's wearing an ankle bracelet to this day. Like he's not allowed in schools. Like this is a man I went to church with. So what did I learn from this that I feel is actionable for you guys? I now do a full background search on everybody that I'm going to do a deal with. It's a full one that, for instance, one guy that I'm partners with, it showed that he was 20 miles over the speed limit in 2002, right? And I'm like, hey, bro, like, what were you doing 25 miles over the speed limit? Well, what did I just do? I have orchestrated an awkward conversation, a hard conversation with absolutely zero stakes. So partnerships, when things are going well, they're easy. Partnership is easy when everything is sunny and roses and you're skipping down the meadow, right? But when stuff goes hard, like that's when partnership matters. So now I've orchestrated this conversation where I see him squirming, right? Where I see how he's going to interact with me when I ask a really hard question. And he was a great partner to like, he was confused, but we had a good discussion around it, right? And guys, I was going to partner with Julie. We talked about something. I did her background search. She came back clean enough to do a deal with. She's my girl. She's partner ready. But what I'm here to tell you is that subsequent to this, now that I have instituted this principle for my investing, I was asked to be part of a deal that was kind of a sweetheart deal. Like, you're going to get all of this money if you just raise this capital, and we're just going to use your network, and it's going to be great, and you're going to make all this money. And then I did a background search on the CEO, and it looked just like homeboy who stole my money. And I said, guys, I got to cancel this webinar. I'm sorry, I can't be a part of this. I have to walk away from this money because I've established my principles, I've established my core values, and I do not step outside of them.
That is amazing. Really difficult, right? I think that when we see an opportunity, it's hard to back out of it. Mm-hmm. Knowing the truth. It's that little voice that says, no, you shouldn't do this, and overriding it. No, I know this feels right. Okay, just for all of our audience, how do you do the background check, just so that we understand how to do that?
If you just Google background search, there's places that for $15 or $20 that even without their social security number, you can do a background search. I happen to have a real estate license, and I hang it with a group called EXP that gives me a subscription to Forewarn, Forewarn. It's an app on my phone. I can take your phone number, guys, and I can do a pretty full background search. Like, it's not a thing that I use as like a party game, but if I'm going to do a deal with you, or we're going to, potentially do real estate business together, I will be doing a background search on you. And it does tell me things that can't be scrubbed, because when I told that group that I was canceling the webinar, their one question to me was, where did you find that? Not like, oh my God, not like, oh my God, I can't believe he did. Like, they knew, and they had scrubbed the internet for it. And they were concerned that somebody was able to uncover the troubling things that should have scared people off,
Amazing. All right. So JV deals. Mm-hmm. How many JV deals do you have?
Currently right now, 5.
5. Okay. And you got into beginning at what point? 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
It was your first literally one? During COVID. So it was September of 2020 was the first acquisition.
Okay. So, I mean, theoretically, you've been doing this for over 2 years. So from a sponsorship standpoint, you could be a sponsor.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody, Mandy can be a sponsor. We didn't introduce her as the sponsor.
I'm background checking you, though.
You're going to get a background checked, and that's okay, because you want to welcome that. Let's talk about syndication. Have you done them? What's your thought? Kind of walk us through that, where you are in that process today.
Early on, I invested passively in a syndication just to kind of see what the kind of syntax was like, the cadence of communication, how things went. And it was a successful syndication in San Antonio. It went great. I mean, 50% on my money in 24 months, right? It's the golden years of multifamily investing, right? And I have been a general partner on one deal. It was 104 units, and I raised a little over $1 million. I did a crap ton of due diligence, the exact same amount of due diligence that I do on my same damn joint ventures where I own a huge portion, or if I'm buying it for myself. The exact same amount of work went into the syndication as goes into the joint ventures. And and the personally owned assets. However, what percentage of this deal do you think that I own? Like the overall percentage. Have you ever done the math on this? Like when you whittle down a GP, your ownership percentage.
Yeah, it's called lesser than that.
Yeah, put in the chat what percent of this deal that you think I own. It was a $12 million purchase. Yeah, okay. It was 1.8%. Somebody send Candace a damn like surprise or something. 1.8%. Guys, 104 units sounds really cool. Like, oh my God, you took down a $12 million, 104 units. You do the math on that. What is 1.8% of 104 units? That's a duplex, bro. That is not impressive. Like, let's normalize this stuff. The things that are really interesting to me is the 38 unit that I own 50% of, or the 53 unit that I own 33% of. Right? Those are the things that bring in huge influxes of cash flow that are growing my net worth precipitously, right? Not the, the layup that was, and it was the same amount of work. However, do I think that there's a time and a place for a syndication? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you do not have the capital to buy things yourself, you need to be raising capital. And syndication is a beautiful mechanism to make that happen. For me, though, I'm lucky enough that I have some capital to throw around, right? And I get into the type of deals where I can recycle it and pull it out. And I do live in flips. Like I live in a house that I fix up. And if you live in something for 2 of the last 5 years, you keep that upside tax-free. I just sold something last Friday that I kept $211,000 tax-free because I fixed it up while I lived in it, right? So I'm doing other strategies to kind of feed the beast so that I can take down more either joint ventures or personally owned assets.
Amazing. So in this time where, we are kind of in flux, right? I mean, are you going to continue to stay in multifamily JV deals? Are you going to go into the smaller deals? I'm just curious because bank debt, you're not afraid of bank debt.
It depends. Right?
Okay,
like I will be, okay. So the thing that is most important to me in terms of the entirety of my portfolio is agency debt. If I could be $100 million in non-recourse debt at this moment, I would do it. Like I would sign up for it if the assets supported it, right? I would absolutely do it. That is my ideal. I don't see the deals that support that right now. I really feel like we'll get there, but I see a lot of, let me talk about my ethos and my principles in investing. I've dived very deep into Charlie Munger and Graham value investing and Warren Buffett and whatever, and I'm trying to apply that stuff to multifamily. And one of the big deals of that is, you have to have optionality. You have to have a margin for error, right? Like I've seen business plans or OMs from syndications like not so long ago that we're going to build this wall and it's going to now be a 3-bedroom and we're going to rely on the 7.5% rent growth that's been happening for the last 4 years and it's going to keep happening. And bro, like if all of your assumptions, the stars have to align to thread the needle to maybe get 7% cash on cash for your investors, that is danger town. Stay away. For me, I have to have the ability, the buy and watch thing that I was talking about. I'm going to buy it. And if I can hold it for the long term and ride it for the cash flow, great. If I can put on another loan to pull out some capital to put into, other assets, great, even better. That is my ideal. But if you offer me 10x what I just paid for it, I'm going to sell it to you too. I need the optionality of how I'm going to deal with these properties in order to feel safe to buy them. I'm not finding optionality in larger multifamily now. I like the 50% or 50 unit-ish range because not everybody's looking there. More people are looking there now because the word got out, we're crowding down. As the minute that I find something that works, I want to be in multifamily. I don't see anything that works. So I'm trying to pivot, right? Like I'm trying to figure out what does work, what does meet my principles. And recently listed on MLS was an 18-unit motel on a lake in Wisconsin, in a resort area of Wisconsin. For guys, $380,000 was the listing. $380,000 for 18 freaking units. right? So we ended up buying it for $326,000 for 18. That is $18,000 a door, you guys. $18,000 a door. Like the business plan, think about the room for error. How many things can I screw up and still hit a home run with this thing? So when it comes to bank debt, am I willing to have recourse on 160,000? Sure, that's fine. Give me that. I don't want recourse on $5 million. You know, I'll take recourse on 160 all day long.
All right. So looking at these smaller deals,
Mhm.
your management fees are going to be excessively large. The ability to get them done efficiently is challenged.
Yep.
So how are you rectifying that? What is your words of wisdom on that?
You got to inspect what you expect. You know, I'll tell you, like, some of the small stuff I started out with, like a sixplex that has been the friggin' bane of my existence. That property manager took his eyes off of it, and rightfully so, because it's only 6 units, right? But I didn't require a call. I didn't require a checkup. And I go visit, and there's 2 drug dealers that live there and 6 mattresses in the basement. Like, you got to freaking be kidding me. If you were, I actually teach a course on acquiring small multis. The thing that I really encourage people to do is, if you're going to buy something that small, you got to be there so that you can look.
Yeah.
You have to be close enough to look.
Yeah.
But that being said, if you buy something with that margin of, can everybody mute? I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback.
Dinesh, maybe.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
There we go.
Thank you, love. If you buy something for freaking 326,000, though, there is so much upside that who cares if I'm paying a 12% management fee, right? Or like I can factor in for that. I can really have a tremendous, you know, break even point. My vacancy can be tremendously, you know, high in terms of a vacancy option and still do fine. So the whole trick is, can I buy right? And in my opinion, there's a lot of frogs in the multifamily space right now. So I figured out how I could pivot. These live-in flips have been really great. I'm doing the short-term rental thing at scale on the small motel, which has been really incredible. That thing though, like, it stands to cash flow like crazy. And we're starting to get it stabilized and we're seeing it happen, even though the management is intensive, but I'm outsourcing that.
So can you kind of give us what that would look like on cash flow on a monthly, yearly basis, just so everybody knows kind of what that looks like? Is that something you would share?
Why not? I mean, if we get, okay, I did a stress test of this, and you know, if I were able to talk and pull something up at the same time, I'd show you the stress test. But long story short, it's, if we're able to achieve an $85 a night rate, which it just so happens that the town did a survey of what was needed for short-term rentals in this kind of resort-ish area of northern Wisconsin. If we get $85 a night at a 60% occupancy, which the study projected an 80% occupancy through the heavy months, then it'll cash flow roughly $20,000 a month at a $326,000 purchase price. So if we are able to achieve this for 3 months, you know, our debt service on this include, like, that escrows in the taxes, it's like $1,700, Julie. Like the room for error. Like, if I have not said one thing enough, if you go to sleep tonight and you hear me in your ear, you're gonna background check your partners and you're gonna find room for error with optionality in your deals. If you do that, it will be a far more rock solid deal than any other way.
So talk to me about debt on something like this, because you're going bank or you're going to go hard money, personal loan. What did you put on that?
I made a crap ton of calls, Julie, crap ton. However, a kind of a ninja trick that I figured out that was a complete mistake, but like, hopefully it'll help somebody here. The previous owners were screwing this up badly. Like, this was a terribly poorly run motel, right? Like, there was a ton of crime. It was like a whole thing. But I realized that, oh, the current like holder of the debt, Like they must not like these guys. They must be as scared of these guys as like the municipality is. So then I call up the guy who's holding the loan for that, for their current loan holder and said, hey, like I'd like the same terms. Here is what we've done. You know, here is my experience in multifamily. Here's my business partner's experience in short-term rentals. Could we have similar terms to what you've offered these guys who are kind of more of a risk than us based off of our balance sheets? And they said, sure, that'd be great. So we got a 7-year term loan at 4%. This thing closed April 6th, guys. 4% loan for 7 years on 100% of the deal. Like we borrowed, what was it, $350,000 on a $326,000 purchase because we were going to do about $100,000 in rehab because it was so clear that this was incredibly undervalued and we represented something that was far less of a risk than the previous owners.
Wow, that's intense. Really, really excellent. You do have to have patience with this model that you're looking at. So you're a single mom. You're a 1099 earner, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about patience.
Mm-hmm.
Those usually don't go all together.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing this? What is keeping you sane? What is keeping you focused on your principles? Because I think that's challenging. And I think a lot of people give up, as you mentioned earlier. I got to have 4 of these deals. I got to have the acquisition fee. It's got to be 5% because I've got 10 different people that I'm working with.
Mm-hmm.
The clock is ticking.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep the focus and determination being patient? Boy.
The thing is, when you have enough money coming in that covers all of your expenses, like I played offense, I played defense. I mean, I had like right at just under $11,000 cash flow coming in, and to live my life, it cost me like $7,000.
Okay.
Right? On really extravagant months, it does cost me $11,000. I don't have to worry. Even with the hiccups in my portfolio, even with the eviction that I'm working on I own outright single family homes, that was a ton of cash flow. Like your brain opens up in a way that you can live by your standards when you're not worried about money. So you almost have to like tame the hedonic treadmill. If you haven't read The Psychology of Money, that's one that I read really recently. That's like, how do you get the bar from like continuing to move forward, right? Like, what do I need to be happy? I'm not here to impress anybody. This Old Navy shirt that I've worn every single day, you're going to see in every damn interview that I do. It's from Old Navy. It was $8.99. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, it's going to get harder.
Well, the Joneses or the Smiths, or the
Yeah.
Petersons, it's tough, All right. I know there were a couple questions. One, we need to know what that website was for the background checks.
Yes. So it's Forewarn, Forewarn. I use it as an app. I'll try to show you what it looks like. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Can you see?
No, we can't see.
There you go.
No.
That's what it looks like. There you go. I made that for you.
Okay, so
I don't
that's
know
the
what
app.
it costs to belong to. I have no idea, but there is like a monthly subscription. I just happen to have that provided by where I
pay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Tony. Tony put it in.
Tony Riggs for the win.
Awesome. So, all right. What's next for Mandy? What is you are underwriting every day. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Have you hired out anybody to help you manage this?
See, here's the thing. Michael Blanc asked me this on his podcast. What are you doing for deal flow? The thing is, I don't have to do 10 deals a year, And I did jaywalk in Naperville in 1977. I did not.
Oh my God, Dean, you're so funny.
That's another comedy act. It's another one.
I'm telling you, I used to do improv. So the way that I'm looking at life And like these couple of years of self-employment, doing solely real estate stuff, like I first started like just starving for opportunity. I took on everything. And, you know, when you're so hungry and you go to the Chinese food buffet and then you're just like bloated with like MSG and opportunity and lo mein, you know, like that was me the first quarter after self-employment. And then I realized like, I don't have to do anything. Like I'm just going to do the things that are interesting, right? Like that is the only thing that I'm going to focus on. And so my dad is a farmer, right? And think about like what nature is, right? Like he works 14-hour days to get the crop in, and then he rests. And then he works 14-hour days to get the crop out, and then he rests and drinks a lot of Miller Lights and hangs out with his friends. Do you know what I mean? That is, in my opinion, that is what nature wants humans to do. So these periods of intensity, I am looking for big projects to put a ton of effort and work into stabilizing and then rest. So I'm looking for one project per quarter, and I don't know if it's a motel. I told you I joined a mastermind called GoBundance. I'm joining the leadership team. That will be my thing for next quarter. The quarter after that, I don't know what my next big adventure is because I'm a watcher, you know?
Interesting. So it's not necessarily that you're buying a property. You're simply every quarter has a new adventure of some sort.
New adventure. And I want it to be multifamily because I think that that is the clearest way to generational wealth. If I can lock it down on agency debt, that is the thing that I'm running at. I do not see frogs worth kissing right now. So I am saying I do not need to do this at this minute. But as they say, when the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming naked. I feel like at some point we're going to see some naked syndicators and have some deals worth buying that are going to be at a discount. You know, mama waiting for that moment.
I don't want to see any nakedness. That doesn't sound very good.
There's going to be some different kinds of underwear colors.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, so I want to, before we open this up to everybody, if someone wants to have a conversation with you, are you open to that?
Sure, I like talking.
Okay, how do we get a hold of you? What is the best way?
MandyMcAllister.com is my website. I think I have a book a call with Mandy on there, just my Calendly link, or just shoot me an email at Mandy@MandyMcAllister.com, MandyMandymCallister.com. I did put it in the chat before with all of my socials. So if you save the chat, because you should do that when you do networking stuff like this. There's a
Mandy, I completely forgot to tell everybody that if you need to leave, make sure you take that chat with you. That is the golden nugget of tonight's event. All right, let's open this up. Does anybody want to ask Mandy a question? Don't ask her what color her underwear is because it may be.
Because we already know what color it is.
Yeah.
Why?
Anybody have any questions for Mandy?
I have a question as usual, Julie.
Yes. Candace.
Hi, Candace.
Hi, Mandy. It's just so, well, first of all, I just have a comment. First a comment and then a question. I mean, you can see how brilliant you are. And it's really refreshing to see someone as brilliant and as articulate at a level that just anyone can relate to. I just love that about hearing you speak. And I'm part of Broadcliffe's Warrior program. I don't know, we talked about a year ago and about syndication, or what you did to lay your foundation. So with all of that being said, so it sounds like syndication depends on whatever goal you have per quarter, but syndication might be something that's happening for you. For your syndication, are you labeling, branding yourself? You already branded as Mandy McAllister, but are you changing and creating a different name for that syndication? Or are you sticking with Mandy McAllister? Because everybody seems to have like capital or some.
I already kind of started it. And for protecting your assets, you're going to want to have LLCs at some point anyway. So I had to come up with an LLC name. So I'm Good Fortune Capital.
We lost you. You're quiet.
She's Good Fortune.
Good Fortune Capital. I think there's too many kids on iPads playing Roblox next door. So sorry, they're stealing my Wi-Fi. But yes, you're going to want to have asset protection, LLC. Talk to your attorney. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney, Candace. Talk to somebody who matters. I don't matter. But you're gonna want to you can brand under that if you want to. And the way I look at syndications, I have a lot of friends who are like, Mandy, take my money. I want you to, like, you're doing all this stuff in real estate. Will you please take, like, that is why I signed on to raise capital and be a general partner on those calls, doing all of that damn work, because I wanted my friends to have a place to place their capital. So I kind of had the $1 million pre-committed, and I just showed up to a deal that made sense. You know, I think there's a time and a place, and I would absolutely do them again. It's just, it serves the purpose. It's not the reason for being in multifamily.
Nice. Who else? Damone, did you learn anything tonight?
Mandy's amazing.
Oh gosh.
No, I learned a lot. I like your story. I like your grind, your hustle. Is it mainly friends? When you've already experienced a lot of capital raising, when you start looking for money, it's like, I think that's probably all of our struggle at this point. For us new people, I'm less than a year in the industry. And I think that's my thing. I'm underwriting, trying to underwrite every day too, learning that side of it. So I have my superpower. It's still intimidating. It takes a lot of work. It just takes a lot of work. I just think that, so when you first started, how did you capital raise? That's my question.
So I'll tell you, I didn't. I was an incremental growth. I didn't want to be the person who day one acquired a 400 unit because I raised a ton of capital. I started with a fourplex, right? And then that showed me that I knew what I was doing with a fourplex. And then I bought a 10plex. And then, you know, so on and so forth, and ended up partnering with two guys to buy a 53, and it was just a partnership. So by the time I got to, I would consider raising capital, I had people who were friends and colleagues asking me, will you please take my money? It was a very different kind of energy thing, because I was attracting it rather than seeking it out. Having been a sales rep, if I was hitting my number and I would go like try to sell something, it was an easy conversation and everybody freaking wanted to buy my product. But if I wasn't hitting my number and I came at it with a scarcity mentality of like, please buy my product, I gotta feed my kid, will you please buy my product? Like, no, nobody wants to then buy your product, right? Nobody wants to give you their money for an investment if you have to have it, right? If that's the energy you're coming. My advice to you is, if you can figure out a way to house hack, if you can figure out a way to buy a fourplex and figure out what you need to figure out, and then people see you doing this and having this success, there's no shame in incremental growth. That is something that has been lost, in my opinion, in the last few years. It is not a sin to buy a fourplex.
Sure. I think that's what we need to do now with the times that we're in. I've been told that already. You know, I have a buddy who just bought a 10 doors. He's like in Austin, Texas, just buying smaller deals right now. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you. Dean, you're always one that has something to say. I want to hear from you. What do you got?
Well, so I heard Mandy say, okay, she's going to be watching. And so I'm curious, what are you watching for? Since you're not taking on anymore, you're not looking at any syndications. Well, so what are you looking for? I'd like to know for whatever it is you're looking at.
So okay, so in my opinion, a thing we learned from COVID is, you know, people who lose their jobs when the economy shuts down is, you know, the bartenders, the manicurists, the people who work at McDonald's, the service industry stuff, right? So in my opinion, that is a C-class type renter. If I look at the B-class type renter, this is kind of twofold. B-class type renter, that's probably you know, a nurse or a higher end sales rep or whatever, like the people whose jobs kind of stay put, right? I also think that in terms of this inflationary pressure, well, I'm going to show you guys a graph, that we're experiencing, like the people who are affected most by $500 more a month, it's the guy who's making $2,000 a month working, managing a McDonald's, right? It's you and I, it sucks if we have to pay $500 more a month, but like we can do it and it's no problem. but it crushes the guy who rents a C-class type apartment. So the things that have my attention are B-class types of apartments in groups that in areas that grow significantly. So Julie mentioned that I did a master's degree in economics. You hear all of the time, we printed money, like, but there is this graph that my jaw dropped, you guys, when I saw it. So Julie, could I share my screen
you're good.
quickly? Okay. Look at this. Look at this right here. So what does this represent? They actually stopped doing this because it went off the charts. So this is however many billions of dollars are in our economy. This is M1, the money supply. How many dollars are in our economy? We went from like a pretty steady growth, which you kind of need to do to have the appropriate inflation to get rid of all the promises that we've made from our government, but that's, I won't go on my soapbox. But look what we did. We went from 4,000-ish to 20,000-ish, right? Like we are now 5x. So what if we're sitting at a table and there's a Diet Coke and $1? How much is that Diet Coke worth? Ostensibly $1. If now poof, there's $5, what are you willing to pay for that hard asset, the Diet Coke? Well, yeah, it's arbitrary. Like I'll pay you more than $1. I got spare dollars here, right? So in my opinion, I still think locking down hard assets for the long term on agency debt is the thing I want to do. But if I can find a B-class asset that I'm not going to have to do any value add on because I can't borrow that money, you know, I'm looking for a really strong B-class in a growth area that's hopefully a market that I know well, like Indianapolis, that I can buy and own it for the long term.
Boom.
Okay,
Anybody
so
else?
can I come back to Mandy? So what do I ask the brokers? What do I ask other sellers to look out for so I can catch me one of these? I mean, we're talking about, people getting maybe a double whammy, very high interest rate because they've bought bridge debt.
Yep.
And let me just throw out, say, a 10% interest rate with cap rates really high, and they can't even release enough capital to pay back the loan. So
here's the thing, Dean. What are your goals? What are you going after? What are your principles? What are the things you're going for? So you get what you look for, no matter what. Until you've decided the things you want to get out of a deal, you are never going to find it. If you're FOMOing your way from, oh, I'll do this, and then I'm going to maybe do this. I'm here to tell you that what met my criteria when I very first started was Kansas City and Indianapolis. And I would go, oh, Kansas City, but they're doing this in Indianapolis. I'll make 0.2% better.
Yeah.
Like I FOMO'd my way to no action for like 2 years because I just went back and forth. So you got to get laser focused. Let me prove you something here real quick, Dean. Everybody, you're going to look around the room and you're going to count the things that are red in color right now. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do it. 9, 10. Close your eyes. How many things did you see that were blue? You don't freaking know because you were looking for red. You got to look for one thing and you will find it. You have to make decisions of your principles, what you're looking for, then you'll be able to find it. It sounds to me like you might have a couple of question marks for what I should be looking for. Figure that out first.
I have 4 children. And when I had the first one, I got home and, we're trying to make decisions for this little person. And people say, well, you get to make that decision. And if you don't know what decisions you're making, you can't answer those questions. You can't,
Right.
You have to know what is important. Is it important to put the baby down in your bed or is it in their own bed? Is it that you want to have cash flow from all of these assets and then you can retire or you can, get away from your W-2? Are you just looking for pocket change, maybe as a passive investor? All of that stuff needs to be determined first. I think it's a process. Certainly, I didn't have all the answers about being a mom and how to make decisions for my children. That was a process. And it comes from revelation and coming from meeting people who are doing this. get inspired by those that are already doing this.
And that's a perfect analogy too, Julie, because how many books did you read about how to be pregnant, right? And then the baby comes, you don't know what the freak to do, right? It's like, how many books have you read, podcasts have you listened to on how to take down an asset? And then you get it and you're like, right, I don't know what to do. Let's just keep it alive, right? Like same thing. Like you need to put some work into how you're going to manage it and what the plan is going to be. And if you don't decide what wall you want to put your ladder up against first, you might climb the entire ladder and realize at the top that you climbed the wrong damn ladder, right? You gotta start by, figuring out where you want to end up.
Very inspiring. All right. Mandy, you've answered all my questions. I have no more left.
I just miss you so much.
I hope that everybody took 1 to 10 things from Mandy tonight. She's high energy. That's why we get along. And, Mandy is super accessible, and, you can learn from Mandy. She's super open, and she gives freely. She's very generous with her time. As I've said before, make sure that we're not taking advantage of people, that we're offering something else for them. This is about relationships. So Mandy can help you get, maybe even just figure out one small step to understanding what it is that you want to do, where you want to go. It takes that first step. And if you don't know what that is, maybe Mandy can help you. So